time and space, every indigenous community had a way of maintaining law and order within a society. There were sets of rules and practices that were accepted by all members of society, and whoever went against them was punished. Traditionally, there were systems in place, some of which still exist and are used to govern community relations and to protect important biological resources for the current and future generations. The indigenous and local people of the Mijikenda community have over the generations used customary laws and practices through institutions such as the Kaya Elders to protect the local forests and culture. These laws have been guided by such principles as reciprocity, equilibrium, equity, and fairness. In these systems, the local people mainly use the resources with access granted to specialists who would get special permission to collect specific resources like medicinal plants. However, these principles have been ignored and are not adequately recognized in the current policy and legal framework in the country that would protect the traditional knowledge, traditional resources, and traditional cultural heritage as found in many of these traditional forests.
The issue of managing natural forests has been with us over a long period of time. And because most of our forests have been disappearing, some scholars have blamed increasing population and also the increased use to which forest products and services are being placed as a result of the increasing population rate. But detailed studies have shown that there are many other underlying factors which we must deal with. And some of these underlying factors are recognition of the rules and regulations which govern the access, utilization, and management of the forest resources.
Hierarchy is part and parcel of the Kaya system, and different levels of Kaya elders with different responsibilities, knowledge, and mandate is emphasized. The more senior elders are the spiritual leaders who are allowed to assist the communities in resolving conflicts and also would have access to the innermost parts of the sacred forests where they would go and pray and ask God for assistance by offering sacrifices. These are some of the norms and values that are currently being ignored due to influences of religion, modernization, and education. The Mijikenda community living around Arabuko Sokoke Forest has exploited this natural resource based on the indigenous technical knowledge that has been transferred to them by their ancestors.
Mimi daktari wa mitishamba mimi. Kazi yangu ni ya masaji na kufuha mishipa ya ndani. Kukirira pa baba na mama. Ikara mimi kazi yangu naendelea mwenye hata nikifika hatu hokala. Ninatengeza kazi ndani ya nyumba. Ela shirika la Free. Bera nifikisha mbere. Nashukuru Free tahani riho. Omuda nzofika na malani anze naanza kufundisha mwanangu Priscilla agure Yesu kani tanifaho nimanye kazi yangu zerichira mwanangu. Ai tutengeza hivi. Ende vivi na kuya hivi. Kazi ibe na kupamiko nuni. Hata nitoka ho mikono kisha nimanye kazi yangu ina mtu. Ndakufisha kure sana hazo yenye kama are mwanangu tosha. Hatoshukuru. Gavyo miriko na shukuru. Naona anaenda hivi. Ende vivi takijuana kala kugonda henda hivi. Ndio la kala ni hali ya ukala misipa.
They have formed groups that safeguard various aspects of their traditional knowledge and traditional biocultural heritage.
We have several activities, starting with the farm forestry program, whereby we are trying to work with the farmers using the various technologies developed by the Institute so that they can improve their sources of income using farming. We are also having the natural forest program, whereby it's important, given that we are in a natural forest, the Arabuko Sokoke natural forest, And we also have this collaboration in participatory forest management, whereby we are collaborating with the community members who are neighboring within the forest adjacent communities. What we are trying to do with them is to try and backstop them in development of management plans for the different forest areas that they are staying around, and we are trying to show them the benefits they can get from the forests. We are also trying to get them to form income generation activities so that they can use those as vehicles to derive benefits from the forest and also to improve their livelihoods. Also, we have another group dealing with herbal medicine, also in the same program, and we are happy we are working with a local women group who have developed even herbal gardens on their farms, and we have tried to show them the various benefits they can get and even how they can get some income from selling some of the drugs they do produce.
One of such groups is Ufanisi Women Group that has demonstrated the value of traditional knowledge of the forest in a way that people appreciate these values enough to find ways of protecting it and effective ways of conserving it. A majority of the Ufanisi Women Group are midwives who have for many years been practicing traditional medicine, looking after patients within the community and at times called upon to assist in local hospitals and clinics.
Kama pengine mama akishika mimba inatoka ama anazaa mtoto wa kuoza, tunampatia. Ule ugonjwa unaondoka, unapona. Pia akishika mimba ni kuwa anazaa mtoto salama, hana shida.
There is, however, no monetary compensation for this vital service to the community and beyond.
Arabuko Sokoke forest has got a lot of medicinal plants, and we decided we would work with the communities adjacent to Arabuko Sokoke forest for us to conserve the medicinal plants in Arabuko Sokoke. We've been training all the communities that are herbalists in Arabuko Sokoke forest to establish nurseries. They adapted it, and then we told them to avoid going to the forest. They had to plant the medicinal plants in their farms. As we speak now, we are having around 26 on-farm herbal gardens for herbalists surrounding Arabuko Sokoke forest. From that, we also found out that the herbalists were shy to come out to market their products. So we thought it wise to hold an exhibition for them in Malindi to create the exposure.
The traditional forest at Kaya Kinondo has been protected for many years by the Kaya elders, despite the risk of encroachment into the forest by developers. The formal education system has also failed in teaching the children the traditional value of these forests. This Kaya is being used as a source of income through ecotourism.
This is a community initiative where we are aiming at conservation of the Kaya Kinondo Sacred Forest, as well as distributing tangible socio-economic benefits to the local people. From the revenue that we earn, we are able to kind of employ forest guards who can look after the forest. It is helping the local people in creating of awareness, both locally and even nationwide, especially on the importance of the forest and the other Kaya forests and the environment as a whole. We help to equip the local schools that are about 3 of them in the village with some learning facilities and paying of extra teachers in the school.
This initiative needs to be supported so that the community benefits economically as well as gets a form of appreciation for its conservation efforts. The local people will feel good when they see visitors coming to appreciate their customs and values, as well as their efforts in managing the traditional forests. This is a perfect example of benefit sharing, where communities benefit from their cultural resources through such interventions. However, this has to be managed in a way that does not interfere with existing cultural values. Visitors will be expected to respect and follow the rules that are provided by the traditional systems.
Hii Kaya ina manufaa mengi kwetu, kuona tunailinda tunasema kufa kupona, lakini tulinde kaya yetu. Kaya hii kwanza, tukiwa tuna matatizo yote ya maradhi, yani tunakuja kufanya maombi maradhi yanaondoka. Tunalima, mvua na kuwa shida, tunakuja hapa tunafanya maombi. Sitoshe, pana miti hapa kama mtu tunaona huu ni mdaa huu mdaa, kwa mtu pengine ana tumbo la basili, anaukata kata huu, anachemsha, anakunywa. Au pengine na hijabu ya meno yanaingia ugonjwa wa meno, huu unachukua unatafuna, ukisha utafuna unapoa. Pia wanawake wanachukua mdaa, wanaukata mizizi yake, unakuna, wanachukua ukindu, wakishachukua ukindu upika, unakuwa rangi nyeusi, wanasukia mkeka, unakuwa mkeka wa rangi. Pia mna miti mingi humu, kwa sababu kwa tunilinda, si kwamba mawe peke yake, miti ya madawa tunipata humu. Humu ni msitu ambao una historia kubwa, hata ambao hata sisi nyingine mwisho wake hatujui. Kwa hivyo wazee wetu wameilinda hii, na sisi tunailinda. Pia hivi sasa tunataka wataalamu waweze kuja tuambie, wachapishe vitabu ili wavipeleke mashule, historia yetu watoto wasome. Pia tunaomba kama kunapatikana wafadhili, tupate wafadhili wa kuweza kutifanyia kama fensi kaya yetu, tuwekele milango, lakini yenyewe ilindwe zaidi. Manake hii kaya kuanzia mwaka 92 ilikuwa tumewekewa askari, alipokuwa kuna Quentin Luke WWF iweka askari wa kulinda makaya.
Another cultural forest that has been preserved for many years through the traditional system is Kaya Rabai. Here, the elders, through some initiation, have different levels of access to and responsibility in managing the forest.
Naanza kuhewa mtu na mwihanirika mudzi. Naanza kuhewa ndatai. Uchikala hewa haririka mudzi. Kwe huna nyama 6. Ya 7 ni ya umvaya. Nyama ya kwanza ni ya uvyere, ya uviri, uhahu, bora, msavula. Alafu hii ni ya umvaya. Hii ndo ndatabo muhambe kwa ujumla. Ino beni ukale umala kushaka na vyendo vyosi ndo naenda kwa ndatai ya mvaya. Mvaya kazi ni kusuluhisha mambo, hasa kala ni watu wana kesi za shamba, ndo yu mvaya unaenda kunena kesi zizo. Mvaya chika chirabo kwa ufunga hiyo shamba, usa chirabo ni muvyere, enda akausa cho chirabo.
This serves as a vetting system. There is a process of training, initiation, and compensation by paying some money or giving bulls and kajamas. Researchers who come to collect materials and knowledge need to appreciate that there is compensation for the knowledge they will be getting from these cultural forests.
We've worked in research areas in Kilifi and Kwale, and our results indicate that the communities are conserving their traditional knowledge and natural resources. However, I think there is need that they get more incentives for this to continue. For instance, already some areas have started ecotourism projects, which they are source of income for the community, and that is good. But for some areas, because the traditions are a little bit more strict, this is not allowed. However, we need to think of other things as incentives that can equally help the communities to continue with the conservation of their natural resources. An avenue that we can utilize is the carbon trade, which can be paid for in terms of royalties, because these are forests and they act as carbon sinks. So the relevant authorities can think about this and reward these communities for that. This is in addition to the communities being allowed to practice their traditions and help to conserve both their knowledge and their resources, because through the knowledge they include their traditional practices, and these resources can only be conserved in active practical use. Their systems like management and governance have been affected so much, and probably they need to be given some room to allow them to practice these management practices and be able to govern a section of their natural resource based on their traditional norms and rules.
Kaya Fungo is one of the least disturbed kayas in the region and has maintained a lot of its traditional integrity. The Kaya elders are very integrated in the management of this Kaya forest, and a lot of activities take place in it, such as initiation ceremonies and prayers.
Vivere huzire haha meni hunanyesa agiriama madokuza haha ana malambaria pao maimanye beni nwatumia muro kwenda kapindi na kapindi haho kapindi haho mapana miazo ya kila mtu anahaswa.
The elders command a lot of respect in matters of nature as well as in dealing with other social issues within the community. Through norms and customs, the people around Kaya Fungo have come to respect these Kaya forests because of what they know could happen to them in case they don't listen to their elders. This is one way of preserving a forest. This Kaya has many plants that cannot be found anywhere else outside the forest.
Kuna muhi mwingine unefa mukaya unapatikana mumu konze kakuna bavyo hiyo muyama inapatikana, lakini uo muhimu muhande na mukaya haipatikana konse. Inapatikana hapa sababu ya ukale mulungu waika haha na sinuhuzo huilole haha. Takwa vizho hunesunza haha.
Kaya institutions can be used to protect and therefore conserve traditional medicinal plant resources and biodiversity. To this effect, it will be important if the formal system could in a way recognize their contributions, since they play a big role in protecting the forest and at the same time maintain the customs that are useful in ensuring that there is no interference in the forests. However, there is a lack of respect of local leadership because of external influences. Therefore, outsiders do not offer the same respect as the local people, and they can interfere with the forests, disregarding the local repercussions. There is need for a system to be put in place to ensure that the authority of the elders is respected, not only by the villagers, but also by the outsiders.
Those elders on whose responsibility the management and protection of these forests fall have not received due recognition by law. And at the same time, the boundaries around these forests, even though they have been culturally marked, but legally they are still loosely surrounded by communities. And one way of doing this would be giving them clear boundaries, for example, by use of electric fencing, like the way which has been done for other forests in the Central Highlands, like Abadeas Forest, Mount Kenya Forest, etc., so that these important forests could also get the protection which other forests in the country are already receiving. Apart from the legal and policy issues, there are also the issues of governance. The cultural forests are mainly based on the people's culture. Even though the people's culture live with them, for those who do not belong to those cultures, it's very difficult for them to understand what these forests are all about and their roles to this to other communities. You find that the elders who are responsible for these kayas, within their governance system, even though according to their culture these are clearly marked, but these are not known by people who are outside the culture. Now, this particular project is trying to bring this up so that there is understanding of the governance structures within the kayas, the management structures, etc., so that these forests, which are very, very important to the coastal region, the country, and even internationally, can be kept for posterity.
Carefree is very active in supporting the research work that captures the value of traditional forests related to indigenous knowledge and also supports its protection in order to make sure that this knowledge and resource does not disappear before its full potential is discovered.
As a research institute, we implement our research agenda through strategic plan. And at the national level, we are having actually 7 programs. One is, which is very relevant to the work that is actually ongoing, that we have been able to work and generate, is the Natural Forest Program. A program that is actually much more concerned with the conservation of the natural forests, biological diversity, and of course the allied resources within them. We do have a program, activities that are running at the coast through our regional research center at the coast based at Gete. And it has been through this particular research, regional research center, that we have undertaken quite a bit of work with the communities in terms of trying to see how we can support the communities and the resources around the coast in trying to improve the livelihood of the people. I want to be able to say that we have been carrying out some work in natural forests as well as the area of participatory forest management. It was at this particular point in time that, of course, we came to recognize the importance of the local knowledge, indigenous technical knowledge. And we have been working on that particular aspect for quite some time now. I do remember that in 2005, we did put up a program jointly with our sister partner institution, that's CICIPE, to try and see how we can be able to tap into the local knowledge, which is an important resource on how we can be able to manage our forests in a more sustainable way by building onto what the local communities know and understand.
So, when a natural forest is conserved, we should be careful not to allow destruction of the habitat that could destroy the important medicinal plants.
Inazikia makongo gosiga binadamu. Na pia hata nyama hiyo. Kwa sababu undakala na mbuzi, hidu kuku. Andakala ni mkongo. Na ukimujeza na muhi wa hole. Hayakapata muhasukari. Kwa vivyo mumu imi haswero imi hiri mumu ni ya maganga gosi.